Hello, welcome to the Undiscovered Metric. Each month, we interview industry leaders and explore how to measure the different KPIs that matter and stay ahead of the trends shaping marketing's future. I'm your host today, Michelle Lagruda, and today we're joined by Simme Volkers, head of SEO at DPG Media. Today, we're really excited to discuss scaling both your marketing efforts and your data strategy. Simme, hello. It's so great to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. The weather's lovely outside, so it's a sunny day. I'm doing fine.
Spring is here. Perfect. So let's dive right in then. So to start, a common challenge that we see is that most businesses only really start to realize that their data foundations are weak once they start to scale. So to that point, what do you think are some of the most common weaknesses in a data foundation that can prevent businesses from smoothly scaling?
Well, it's interesting. I think scaling is one of the main challenges within our company. I mean, we're not a typical international publisher, but DPG has over 85 separate titles, separate domains that operate locally within the Benelux. So that's Holland and Belgium. The content we create varies from radio to podcasts to video and news and in-depth articles. So apart from branded traffic, we rely heavily on visibility within Google. And as a group, we receive over 300 million clicks per month. And our main challenges for the inbound marketing teams used to be collecting unified third-party data in a secure way. And this meant a lot of different teams were operating independently and used different tooling, or worse, even the same tooling in different places. So that was not uncommon. And this led to a situation where there was no control over cost or access or deprecated data solutions. So now with the help of Adverity, we managed to create one data entry point for all third-party data. And we push that data back into our Snowflake product. So this resulted in quite some successful metrics. We're saving a lot of time on reporting, approximately 860 plus hours we recently calculated. And of course, we improved data accuracy and consistency. So we created one central data product and connector, and this really helped driving our business. And it saves a lot of frustration at the same time. So
that's a great point. Like you're right, consistency and clarity, they sound so simple and fundamental, but it can be so challenging to actually achieve that. So that's a really great point you brought up, and it's great to hear you guys are doing well with it. And then maybe to that point is, what's one thing that you think marketers that marketers will wish they started doing today when it comes to scaling their data strategy? So maybe small steps that can help them further into the future.
I've have quite some experience in SEO, 20 plus years. And the thing I would like to tell myself when I started out in SEO is that you need to think about your data and your business case first. So a lot of SEO specialists or product people hit the ground running. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to prove and to fix. But I think the most key thing is to benchmark your data, your first-party data, before you actually start to fix things. That way, you can validate your business case from the start, and I think you will press your colleagues along the way by having all your data in order. So that really helps. But I realize that's easier said than done. So it's often dependent on budgets, constrained budgets, of course. And of course, you need the right people, data engineers at your side. So it's not an easy task. But I do think that has to be your starting point when you're trying to put a project or a team together.
That's a really good point. Especially, I feel like there is so much data out there. It could be so easy to get almost distracted by, oh, look at this. But at the end of the day, to your point, it needs to be serving the actual business purpose. So I think that's a really great point you brought up. And then I would say, keeping on the theme of success here. So, scaling your marketing data operations often requires balancing a global consistency with local flexibility. And that's something that you see to some extent, at DPG Media as well. So I would love to know what strategies have you seen work best for kind of maintaining that strong, unified data foundation across multiple markets?
Well, we're not actually in multiple markets, but in various fields of markets. Yes, that's very true. And they can differ a lot from each other. I think the main challenge or key factor in success is data ownership. This can be a real struggle, I find. I think you run into politics or prioritization, and I think it can be helpful to have somebody outside the organization to help you with this. I found this to be really helpful. And the second thing I think is that collecting data should align with the main product principles that you have. So we are part of the product team, and it really helps to have product principles that really align with how you collect data. So there can be no misunderstanding on the start of the project and how you're going to validate your success. So this implies that tracking is done right, and there are no questions whatsoever within every team. So I think it's not only data; it's so much more. It should be really in the very core of your operation.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And are there any key factors, like maybe more specifically, that can help with like that seamless expansion?
You need to build your on like one point of truth. So having your data accessible for multiple teams, and educate them in how to collect that data is really important. And at the same token, I already mentioned it really helps having a partner outside. So it's not always implied that you have like the resources within your own team to help other teams with that. So yeah, you need to be scaling. You need to be able to scale fast and operate quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And the third party perspective really is a good point too, because I feel like, you get so in the weeds with your own work. It's so easy to get caught up in those details. And then someone from a third party perspective could just take one look and be like, well, have you thought about this? And you're like, oh, maybe I haven't. And it's so simple, but so effective.
Yeah, so, exactly. And also, it's maybe a bit controversial, but also challenging your first party data is is something that is quite often overlooked. So by aggregating multiple touch points from third-party sources can really help you with that.
No, yeah, you're right. And that actually goes in really nicely to the next question, is talking about data democratization. So I know, more and more businesses are having data democratization as a goal to kind of help improve that data accessibility. So maybe they can do things like this. But so many companies really do struggle to achieve that at scale, just because, like we talked about, there's so many factors involved. So how do you think that businesses can work to help make their data more accessible and useful, across different departments, but without kind of creating those like bottlenecks or misalignments that we kind of talked about?
I think in the same way you think about your product principles, you should think about like a clear set of company-wide KPIs. And those can be technical as well as technical as more marketing-oriented KPIs. And I think you should help build other teams by building standard reporting on those principles. So that main set of company-wide KPIs is really important. And of course, it helps when you have management buy-in for those set of KPIs. And for example, we have detailed reports on technical quality for all our web-facing platforms. Mm-hmm. And every time we publish on an internal channel, we start out by focusing on these main KPIs. So you create immediate awareness and growing awareness for these important KPIs. Mm-hmm. And every time a new SEO specialist starts out at our company, we train them and from the start, of course, and we continue to support them along the way with all our reporting. So it's really a hands-on approach that we are in favor of.
That's smart. And it sounds like your organization as a whole is like very, very good with the cross functionality and everyone kind of like almost over communicating in a sense, which is nice. Um, but then it's also nice too, because I know you probably especially know this in SEO is that, things are always changing, whether it's like the metrics we want to measure or the way, the different like KPIs that the tools are prioritizing or how algorithms change. So it is nice for that all your teams are kind of on top of it together. So it's probably more easy for you guys to adapt when changes do occur.
Yeah, so we're actually quite on the threshold of a really important change, which are called the artificial overviews within Google.
Hmm.
So we're kind of moving into a world into a world of zero clicks. So this means that we have to change pace fast and rethink our main KPIs. So instead of clicks or visitors, we have to be able to be flexible and maybe calculate our main KPI into impressions instead of clicks. So that's a huge shift for the whole market and also for DPG.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's something, everyone's going to be keeping an eye on as we're kind of evolving with it. So it's a great point you bring up.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
No easy task.
No, it's quite a dynamic world we're in.
Yeah. Exciting. And it's also, we're kind of going with the flow. Which actually is also another great segue. So like data quality is a topic that, I love to talk about. We're always talking about here at Verity. And, it's not news to anyone that, poor data quality can, leads to poor decision making. And then, when you're scaling your marketing operations, it makes it harder to maintain that data accuracy when you don't have the quality. And that, can apply to any of the metrics that you're discussing and more. So what do you think are some of the most effective ways to kind of monitor and maintain your data quality at scale? Like maybe perhaps as things are changing.
Well, again, it's really a hands-on approach for us. So the data that we look at is so important in this phase of our existence as a publisher. I think publishers worldwide are really kind of looking inward. So how are we going to monetize our traffic from Google? And what if AI overviews stop sending a lot of traffic to our website? So that's a really big change within our branch. So I think, and it's quite unusual for me to say this, but it's really the key is in third-party data. I can't stress this enough. So when you really know your third-party data at heart, you can expect your first-party data to behave in a predictable way. So regular checks and benchmarking your data is very important for us. And it also means having close contact with other teams and achieving more precision in their data set. So you have to challenge other teams in that. Also a lot of costs are involved with multiple teams buying the same data. So I think there are more than two ways in approaching this, but there's a lot of advantage in getting precise data and also cost reduction. So that's really important.
That's smart. And it sounds like you're kind of also preventing almost like a sort of like snowball effect from like, oh, this slips through the cracks, this, and the next thing you know, you might have inflation in places you don't expect. So it's quite a smart.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, those are some really great insights, really helpful. And then I think we're just going to go into a quick rapid fire section.
Cool.
We just have a couple quick questions for you here.
Cool.
So first is you might have touched on this a little bit before, but what is one overlooked metric that you think marketers should pay more attention to?
Yes, I think I stated it before. I think we're moving from clicks into a world of impression share. And so I think share of voice is a really important key metric. Well, certainly for us, and as we are evolving into a zero-click world, you need to know whether the market is growing or whether you are growing as opposed to the market. I think that's a big question that needs to be answered. That way, you can also predict and enter new markets earlier. So you have to look outside your first-party data and also know what your competitors are doing. I think impression shares are really important and really good way to achieve this.
And then for our next question, what are some common mistakes that you think marketers make when they're putting together their initial data strategy?
I think it's again, it's the order in which campaigns are being executed. More often than not, the marketers put the priorities on executing the campaigns. But I think it's really important to first think about your data and your business case, and invest a lot of time into research and validation. This way you will get to know the market up front and maybe correct your strategy along the way based on real-time data instead of just looking at the data at the end of the process. So yeah, it's really about first things first. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. And then for our final question, what are some of your go-to resources for the latest marketing news and trends?
Well, things are moving fast within the SEO world now. I have to be honest. I think LinkedIn is my first source because you can get really up to speed on the latest trends and evolving and how Google is evolving. Like the whole SEO community is watching Google right now, so it's really exciting. And the second thing is we organize a lot of events as well. So we invite a lot of SEO specialists from other markets to our media house, and this way you get the latest information first.
Nice. And I like what you said for both of those because they're both kind of like two-way streets. On LinkedIn, you can see what, someone's publishing these articles, but you can see what people have to say, what else they're contributing, just like in person. So I think that's the best way to learn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. You gave a lot of really great insights. It's clear that both you and, DPG Media are very forward thinking, really ahead of the curve. And I'm sure there's a lot for our listeners to take back with them.
I hope so. Yeah. And otherwise, please do get in touch with us.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.